welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host and disembodied hands Quindy, disembodied beard John, and sometimes our nebulous Reaper presence Ron, and Kiki's sleeping in the other room. Yeah, sorry for the, I usually have been a little bit better than that, Pendrake. Today is a little bit special just because I've been having some digestive crap. I was going to say, I've been making a pretty good effort to be on earlier than that. I would rather keep the time as it is because I do not want to go later than I do. All right. Boop. Disembodied. Yes, disembodied presence, John. That's good. Anyway, I'm going to do the hair. All right, we're going to do pretty saturated, so we're going to use a very reddish brown, very intense brown, mahogany brown, to do the shading on the hair, and then I'm going to actually bring it up with some really bright orange sunrise. I'll probably bring that up even farther with, and mute it out just a little bit with lemon yellow. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. Right now it's really bland, so we'll work on that. Yeah, that just invites chaos. Pendrake, no. Sorry, I'm a little grumpy today because I did not have a very good day. So just let's just say no. It's scheduled when I want it to be scheduled. Okay, thank you. I know you're trying to help, but not today. Not today. Not today. Ugh. That's all I'm saying is ugh. Yes, correct. What Quindy says. We are fully capable of figuring out if we wish to schedule switch the schedule ourselves. Thank you. Yeah, sorry if I'm a little grumpy today. It's not been a good set of days. I was hoping I was rounding the corner, and then it was not so much. So it is what it is. Let's get these colors out here. Yeah, that orange probably is a bit bright. So what I can do, I still want a really saturated orange for this highlight, but what I can do is mix just a little bit of this color into that, which will dull it down, and then I can also, as I mentioned, add the lemon yellow, which will bring it up. So let's grab some water. And I was using a red oxide for this, so I will grab a bit of that because often when you're doing this stuff, it's very common to lose your midtone, is what I call it, where you're painting in your shadows, you're painting on your highlights, the next thing you know, your midtone has just been buried under both of those. So let me grab an oxide red, if I can figure out where I stuffed my oxide red. Yeah, woohoo. Yeah, everybody has grumpy days, even yours truly. Mostly with me, it's health stuff. It always that. Otherwise, I'm perfectly happy Anne these days. My book promotion paid for itself. I sold another book yesterday. I haven't checked today. I may have sold another book. That always makes me happy. Derek got back to me and said he liked both books. He said they were really good. So that's good. Thanks, Derek. I know you usually listen, sometimes after the fact. What is St. Andrew's Day? Is it a day where we're supposed to pet all our animals? That would be a great day, Korniko. Oh, good. Yeah. I thought the pinning video actually turned out really well, Slayer. Like I was in frame. Also, it's really hard to stay in frame when you're zoomed in. Sometimes when you're shooting video. But yeah, and I managed, when I rewatched it when I was doing the editing, I was happy to see that I was happy that I could see everything that I was talking about, right? So, and we had enough little glitches that it let me troubleshoot a little bit, right? Which is great. That's the ideal video for me, is one that I can see everything. I can see that I'm illustrating everything as I'm talking about it, and then something goes wrong and I fix it. Like, that's the best video for me as far as videos for you guys. Because I really enjoy, like, I think that having those moments where it goes wrong for me is invaluable in a video. But isn't St. Andrews, isn't St. Andrews also the patron saint, or is it different Saint which one is patron saint of animals? I don't remember, but I thought it was. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, well, yeah, we should always... Oh, Francis, thank you. I was thinking of Francis, not Andrews. Sorry. Like I said, brain is not on today. So why should we be happy about what is St. Andrew's thingo-doodle? And what do you do for it? How do you celebrate it, Kritiko? Educate us. I'm just going to put... I'm kind of like... I'm messing around because I don't want these this bright, but I don't want them that much more muted either. So I'm just going to mess with these colors a little bit and see what I can do. And of course I'll get paint all over myself because it's that kind of day, guys. It's that kind of day. Also, if you're not a patron, I just made the green stuff video. Just went live on YouTube public. When I put up a new video for the Patreon, I make the previous fundamentals video public. So if you have not watched Miniature Painting Fundamentals on my YouTube channel, if you have not been over there for a while, the working with green stuff to disguise a mold line video where I did this on the baby Kraken, that's all up now, and it's a good video. I'm very happy with the last two videos for fundamentals. I feel like they were exactly what I wanted to do, which is always a good feeling when you're a creative. Eat, drink, and be merry. All right, fair. I just wondered if there was something special. You know, every American holiday has some little quirk, it seems to me. But if it's just a, you know, eat, drink, and be merry day, like Thanksgiving, that's cool too. Ah, oh no, I went too far. Ah, so did you see how that totally burned that orange? It's literally a burnt orange now. It burned it because there is brown in here, not just red. So there is a lot of reds, so it did go darker, but it definitely, like, it's giving me the eye now. It's going, I don't know if I'm the right orange for you, and I have to agree. It's not the right orange for me, so I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board on that. I should have used my tiny brush for that. Hey there, Thormel. It's good to see you. Alright, well, we'll just mess around with this, maybe. Ah! Now, I was tempted to just throw my water on the floor, you know, because it's that day, guys. It's that day. David also slept like crap last night, and when he got home last night, he worked all night. Because there's, like, stuff his department needs him to do. So he was home, but he was not present. Which made Kiki a demon, because he wasn't playing with her as much as he usually does. So, yes, the Diamondstone family had kind of a cramtastic night last night. Except for Keeks. Well, yeah, Keeks also would hope for more pettins and more plans. So, hopefully today will be better. Yeah. Yeah, and yet the lion rampant flag is the one everybody remembers, Kerniko. At least I did when I was in Scotland. Technically illegal, but far more memorable. Isn't that the case with some stuff, though? All right, I'm going to try to bring my burnt orange back by doing 2 more drops of sunrise orange and a drop of lemon yellow into it, and hoping to intensify it a little bit. See if I can get over that mahogany brown slip up. If not, I'll have to mix a new thing. So I'm getting really low on sunrise orange. I might need to actually order more stuff. Yeah, it really is not intensifying it enough. I've got too much. Just way too much. And you can tell because it just looks off in this lineup. If I put a regular orange like into it, you can see how bright that is. And it's just, this is way too dull at this point. So let's pop this over here. Make a whole new thing. Abandon my failed orange. I guess all year round. I'm going to just pluck that drop of orange. Haha, see how I did that? And I'll have a tiny bit of that bad orange in it, but only a tiny bit. And then I'm going to pop a little bit of lemon yellow in. Let's see if I can, what I can do with that. It's a nice autumnal orange. It's a good pumpkin orange, but it's not good for this. That's a little better. And now instead of adding the mahogany to this, I'm going to add just a little bit of the oxide instead. And I've done a PDF about how you can use oxides to add coverage and without changing color very much. So a little bit of oxide in here will mute it just a tad without taking it down to that. You can see there's a big difference. All right. Oh, boy. So I kind of realized why my book progress was going so slowly for me this fall. And it was that I was not kicking my internal editor out far enough. And for you, those of you who mini paint, the equivalent to your internal editor is your internal critic. The little voice that sits over your shoulder and says, you know, that's not really that good. We should stop and we should redo that. It's that voice. Or, well, that didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. Or, I don't think I have any talent at this after all. Like that voice. It always sounds that vaguely dissatisfied, you know, like second grade teacher kind of voice. Yeah. So I hadn't been kicking my internal editor far enough out of my head. I kept trying to cover mistakes as I saw them instead of just writing through it and just fixing it later, which is what you really should do. Your best, as a writing person, your best work comes when you just write. Even if it sucks, because in that pile of suck, there will be like this sentence that's a gem, but you won't get that to that gem without writing all the suck. So with painting, it's your mini looks like it's been beaten with the ugly stick, and you work on it, and finally, suddenly, a glimmer of awesome appears out of the ugly stick. But you have to go through the ugly stick phase before you get to the genius phase. Before you get to the part you really like phase. It's not always true. Sometimes you get lucky, do something really cool out the gate, and then you get spoiled. You should start a new project. Yep, because it's afraid to finish the current project because it's afraid it's not going to turn out as good as it wants it to. Yep, that's that voice. Yeah. There's a big difference if you sit down, like get close with yourself and true with yourself and honest with yourself. There is a big difference in feel between you should start a new project, shiny object, or you know, dread of the current project that it's not turning out the way you wanted it to. And there is an honest to God, you're working on the wrong project feeling. Like that is a valid thing and it does exist. But you got to get like close with yourself and really feel it out and think, okay, why do I want to switch projects right now, right? Get honest with yourself. And And sometimes it'll honestly be like, I'm just not inspired for this project. I thought I was going to be, and I'm not. In that case, yeah, put it away. Put it in the case. Put it in a box in your closet. Get it out of the way. Go back to it if you feel like it. But if it's just that things have gotten hard and you want the easy thing of starting a new project, or you're worried that you won't be able to do the next step very well, and so you really want the less stress of a new project and stuff like that. We all have different reasons for evading. For me, it's often boredom, which is why I think I tend not to go back to models that I put aside. My brain loves new shinies. Perhaps your brain is the same, Graniko. Although my brain also has the point where it's ugly and I just feel like I don't have the oomph to push through, and part of me does have that little fear that it's not going to be as good as I wanted it to be. And I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling. So new shinies are the best, yeah. So you have new shiny also. I think a lot of us do. A lot of people just really love the feeling of new project, new start. It's all exciting and fresh, right? It's like starting our new workout regimen in January and then we're done by the, 7th. Yes, intimidation. And sometimes Slayer, if that happens, put that other mini aside and kind of keep it, at the corner of your desk so you can keep an eye on it. Keep it in your consciousness. And sometimes your subconscious mind will work on it as you work on other projects. Like, it'll kind of be thinking over what you need to do. And this depends on the kind of brain you've got. I'm a very thinky brain. My brain needs a lot of rumination time. And sometimes that means rumination time even in the middle of a project to kind of think about, well, how am I going to tackle this next? And if you get that thinking time, sometimes that takes the intimidation out, right? Because you've had the time to think about it and you've come up with, it would help if I was in focus, and then you've come up with a way to work it. I feel like I'm just off center today. Yeah. Not completing stuff used to kill me, and then I got over it. I got over it when I married my husband and saw all the the litter of abandoned projects that trails behind David. And he's just blissfully happy about it. He doesn't care. If he doesn't feel like working on it, he's not going to work on it. I'm not quite to that level yet, but I want to get there. I want to get there. No, it's the shelf of lost love. David and I agreed on this. There is no guilt or shame because those are just stupid negative emotions that we don't care to engage with. The shelf of lost love seems more appropriate because it's just you've lost love for the project. And you should not guilt yourself or shame yourself over not finishing. It's your hobby. I talk about this in the start of the painting book. I hit it right up front, just so. It's like there are two rules of mini painting. And one of them is to always remember why you're doing this and not to let the pressure crush the joy out of it. Because you can put so much pressure on yourself when you care about something. I'm going to grab some of this orange over. I'm going to put some, I want some Osirian sand, I think. I could use lemon yellow plus white, but Osirian sand is a little bit more of a natural yellow-white. Storage room of abandonment. Oh, I know, Kerniko. Yeah, that outdoor fitness thing. Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason. There's no reason to have to assign any guilt or shame to your hobby. That's why if I'm really, really not going to work on something anymore, I consider just gifting it to someone who will like it. Even if it's in the middle of painting, no, same thing. Just give it away. Find a friend who would like it. Or if I have to, I would strip it. But as it is, most of the time, I ground out, if I get, any paint on the model at all, I usually at least get to the 2/3 to 3/4 stage, and then it's mostly boredom, and I understand that, and I just set it aside until I feel like finishing it. But if I get the model, I'm more likely to stall out when I start taking the model out and cleaning the mold lines off and doing all that sort of thing, I'm more likely to just kind of stall out there before I've ever put paint on it. Yeah, that is rule number 1, Quindy. That's totally it. Forget what rule number 2 is. It's also a good rule. There are 2 rules. Oh yeah, rule number 2. How could I have forgotten? Rule number 2 is there is no one right way of doing anything in this hobby. Do what works for you. So remember to enjoy your hobby is rule number 1, and there is no one right way to do anything in the hobby is rule number 2. And those are the 2 rules for the painting book. 2. That's it. Hello, Brannigan's Brushes. Thanks for the raid. We are working on a elf today. I did a lot of work previously. We do a 6 model rotation, so we work on a new mini every day, and then we loop back around to the front of our rotation. But yeah, so this is Alistrilee. She's an older Reaper model, but they put out a Bones USA version of her, so I decided to give her a shot. She's a wood elf, so I thought we'd do some freehand. I also did some green stuff at the bottom to make the leaves go a little 3-dimensional at the bottom. But yeah, we do a whole bunch of stuff on here. Depending on the model depends on what we're doing as far as whether I'm doing freehand or whatever. Like we have Ghosty Musling as well, and he's a totally different proposition than the freehand elf. But yeah, I try to mix it up, do a bunch of different subject matter so that I can teach a whole bunch of different topics. I'm Anne. If you don't know me, I work for Reaper Miniatures for over 20 years now. I started as their staff painter, their first on-site staff painter. I created the Master Series paint line and then proceeded to mix pretty much every batch for 17 years. And now I just Twitch for them because I moved during the pandemic and now I'm married and on the West Coast. But I still teach in the mornings, weekday mornings on this channel. So good to meet you, everybody. Yeah, thanks, Brannigan's. Thank you. The level of paint work that I do on these is typically what I would do for the Reaper Gallery, like when I was still working there. So it's not like the highest level I can do, but it's a very solid level. I do have my own stream as well, which is on Saturdays at 3:30 USA Central Time, and that's called Painting Big, and I do more stuff like this big crystal dragon. I'm working on him right now. So stuff like that I do on my own stream. But little stuff, Reaper stuff, is what we do on this stream. Yeah, it's good to meet you too. What do you paint? Like what scale? What brand are you? What do you like to do? Yeah, Crystal Dragon's awesome. Oh, okay. Okay, bye, Kivzachariah, bye. Very large Warhammer 40k Nurgle army. Yeah, those new Nurgle models are really sexy, though. Like, if you can call that, if you can call it that, right? But the detail's so nice on them. I've been tempted to pick them up and do a unit for, like, Golden Demon or something. You paint whatever. Okay, so you paint on commission. Good. Yeah, in the most disgusting way. It's true. But yeah, I like him. I just haven't picked him up. My husband is more of a Tzeentch guy, so he's painting a Tzeentch Demon Prince right now for Golden Demon. We might not go to Adepticon this coming year, but we might go the year after. So who knows? When next time we get to Golden Demon, he'll enter it. Yeah. There's a lot of good new Nurgle. Yeah. So I'm gonna take my reddish brown guys, my mahogany brown, and I'm going to line a little bit more here between the hair and the face. There would be a little bit of a shadow there. She's got a couple of strands of hair coming through over here, and I'm also going to try to get a line between them there. I'm going to use my real brown liner to line around this little lock of hair, though, and make sure it stands out from the hood. But yeah, I do more display quality work on here, pretty much. Although, to be fair, this is what the amount of work I would typically put in for a D&D character. But yeah, for army painting, the stuff I do on this stream is like only something you would save for your general. I have painted armies in the past, not for commission. I never went that far. I've mostly stopped doing commissions at this point. But I have painted my own armies in the past, and boy, it can be a slog. I salute you for having the fortitude to paint them for commissions. I was never a bulk painter, and when I did commission work and when I painted for like eBay and stuff like that, I was always doing single model generals and special characters usually. Oh, raid and run. It's okay. Yep. Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Brannigans. We'll see you around, I hope. We're going to grab our orange and see if we can do just a little bit of a brighter highlight up here on top of the hair. She kind of has this poof of hair coming out in front, and that's where you'd put your highlights. It can be rough to kind of get it to work in on some of these sculpts, and that's really rough, so I'll essentially go back and correct that, but getting the placement right is a good first step. And then I'm going to grab that yellow and put it a little bit over here too, just a little bit of touch of highlight. Maybe grab my bright orange and pop that in there over the top of it. I just want those little strands to kind of stand out. Yeah, I am also a bad raid and runner. Lately, we haven't even raided at the end of my stream because it just seems like nobody I know or no miniatures people are on by that point. Like when I go and look through my stuff, nobody I know, and I don't want to dump people into a stream I can't kind of pre-look at. Though we have raided before. I try to stick around for at least a sentence, but I understand, Quindy, I understand. All right, so just a little bit of our red oxide to kind of blend that in. And we've got a little bit of a blend up there, and at least we have a bit of a highlight. It's a little bit rough, but the sculpt on this hair is also a little bit rough. So, like I said, older model getting a new life in Bone Choisei, which is Siocast material. There we go. So I had to block in back there. I want to put a little bit of a shadow back there too. So I'm going to grab my mahogany brown, pop a little bit right back there as it goes back into the hood. So I'm kind of like feeling trepidatious because like soon I should get my Brandon Sanderson Kickstarter stuff, which is the figurines for Stormlight. And I'm hoping they'll be good casts / sculpts. I'm hoping, but I don't know what to expect. So I'm kind of dreading it. Because if I like them, I want to repaint one. Or at least one. But, yeah, I don't know. He hasn't done Brandon hasn't done miniatures before, so we'll see. We'll see. Which models, Polly? For the painting book? I haven't even started painting stuff for the painting book yet. I actually decided to hold off. I was originally going to work on painting stuff as I went, like pictures as I went as I was writing. However, after I stopped to think about my writing process, I'm actually probably better off writing a rough draft, then doing the pictures, then adjusting the text. That way, I'll be able to finish the book, at least, finish the word count of the book. And at that point, it makes sense to contact, like, Ron, Christine, etc., to make sure it's okay to use their figures, and then move forward with, whatever I've decided to work on. So a little bit of a change up in what I thought I was going to do. Oh, Brandon Sanderson? They wouldn't be for my book. That would be stealing IP. No, they're purely because I like Stormlight Archive and I like the characters. And when I saw the sculpts, I was like, those are cool. And the fact that he's putting out big sculpts is cool. And I would maybe do a repaint on one of those. So I didn't want the small miniatures because, you know, I have plenty of small miniatures. But the big stuff is yeah. I was like, all right, I could maybe repaint Shallon because I really like her. So yeah, the Brandon Sanderson stuff is purely for my own fun. Any miniatures that may influence like my books would be like ones that we did just for my books. But that is like so far out. Like my books have to have like a serious audience before I start like approaching somebody for miniatures. And even then I'm not sure that most of my characters would make great miniatures. We'll see. I don't know. I guess a lot of writers would think that. But Brandon's miniatures Kickstarter certainly did well. But there is also, I think there might be a game that might be attached to that. There's definitely an RPG they're working on, so that's all cross-marketing at that point. But yeah, if you have read Stormlight Archive or even part of it, then these models are all for that. Let's see if I can make a quick search here. Okay, yeah, Stormlight. Let me see if I can get down to the... So yeah, so he's got... They look like there's some cool sculpts in there, and essentially he's got the regular miniatures, but he's also got these pre-painted big guys. And so I pledged for the pre-painted big guys. There's some... let me find... If I can find a good representation of the sculpt. There's a whole bunch of them. I was tempted by some of it, but I held off. I get the unpainted Shallon figurine. Hold on. Yeah, so her I like. So actually I like a couple of these guys, but yeah, so I'm getting the pre-paint ones. The pre-paints, I don't mind painting over pre-paints. I did it with the Overwatch statue, so I expect these to be pretty basic pre-paints, so they should be easy, hopefully, to paint over, to repaint. But yeah, if you want to take a look at the whole range, I'm sure he's going to offer them for sale after everything is fulfilled. It's Stormlight Premium Miniatures. If you add Kickstarter to that search, you'll find the Kickstarter with pictures of everything. If you don't read the series and you do like epic fantasy and you like Brandon Sanderson, you probably should pick up the series. It's very Brandon. It's very progression fantasy. It's a huge world with a lot of intricacy. And I do enjoy several of the characters, or I wouldn't keep reading it. So, and we have Shadow Majesty. Your color is so hard to read, but welcome. Yeah, we're doing stuff. We're just trying to get the hair done on this figure so that I can work on the black on the boots and the bow and the feathers, which is more of a blue-black. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm probably going to use Corporeal Shadow for that. Where's my... Oh, yeah. What was I doing? I don't know. It's that kind of brain day. It's a really light green, so it's hard for me to get from this, like, distance. I don't have a really big screen for my chat, so... Pre-painted terrain on spruce, huh? Yeah, terrain is always such kind of a... You kind of, like, grit your teeth when you see companies going into it, because it's so easy to lose money on it, and there's, like, a definite price point these days, I feel like, that people will pay for a terrain. And I don't feel like that price point makes companies enough money a lot of the time, but I could be wrong. I've never priced out the stuff. I just know what I'm willing to pay for. And Paulie, since when does this stream go without distractions? Especially today. Like, yesterday was a squirrel day for me, and today is no better, really. All right, gonna try to put a little white highlight back up here. Just a tiny little white highlight. And then I'm going to probably have to blend it in because it's going to be too harsh. Yep, too harsh. So I'm going to do glaze over it. This little tiny bit of hair can be really difficult. I'm going to use my orange, my really intense orange, and do a glaze. So I'm going to add at least 1:1 water to that to make it more like just colored water, like watercolor. Like so. And I'm going to paint it over that area. And I'm going to rinse off my brush, pull the water out of it, and come back and pull off any excess fluid. Do not want to leave any excess on there. That's going to make it blend in just a little bit better. I feel like I'm going to still bring up some color here on the top. Anyway, seems annoying to like spend so much time on such a little tiny piece of hair, but it's at least better than it was. Make this spruce in house, yeah. Oh, well, good then, Graniko. That's good. Like, the biggest thing is just, like, figuring out how to make that sort of thing and make it cost effectively so that you can still make a margin on it. And then convince people, like, make sure that you can sell it for a price that people are willing to pay for it. It's just, terrain is very hard to make success at. Just having watched companies try to do it and fail for years. And I was the one who would always, like, step out and actually spend money on a nice piece of terrain. But I knew so many people who wouldn't. Yeah. There we go. Now I can read you, Shadow. Thanks. Sorry, I don't know why that bright green was just, like, baffling my eyeballs. Maybe after all my superhuman color sense, I can't deal with it. That's my color, like my kryptonite color. It is kind of a kryptonite color. It was green. All right, a little bit of highlight on these little locks on the side there. There we go. Now I am okay with the hair. Now I'm okay with moving on. Of course, I've spread like all these oranges all over my palette now. All right, we're gonna move on and get to this black stuff with the boots, the bow, the arrows, and the quiver. We are using a bluish black, which should be visible kind of on the model. I'm gonna be using Corporeal Shadow. Corporeal Shadow is a special edition color, but I don't mind using it on this stream because it's easy to mix. It's actually a mixture of walnut brown and sapphire blue. Try it 1:1 and then adjust it to your tastes. Yeah, I usually don't care about mine either. Unless it's like so hard to read that I can't even read my name. Then it annoys me. So yeah, if you mix walnut brown is a very black brown, and then I would say the closest thing to sapphire. Sapphire is very close to like a cobalt blue. So if you mix those two things, it's kind of like creating an oil painter's black, where you are mixing blue and brown. And it makes a very nice cold, bluish neutral. This will give me a different color than it would. You guys know I do this with blue liner and Nightmare Black. This will give me a slightly different color because it's a little more muted than Nightmare. I think it's a little bit more blue. Here, let's scrunch this up. Get over there. Scrunch, scrunch, scrunch. There we go. And I need a big base so we can actually see the color. So we can see that it's a bluish black. And when we add white to that, we're going to see the real distribution of pigment. And at that point, if we want it to be more dull, we can certainly add more walnut to it. Boop. I use my knife or a sculpting tool that's spade-shaped Slayer. I think I may have actually showed that on my... I think I did a Patreon thing on it. I think. I remember doing an example. I think it was the basing materials. And I don't remember if it was for the YouTube or not, but essentially I either use my X-Acto knife or I use a sculpting tool that's like this, and I just pull away at it. I'll grab and tear it, but then I go to the sculpting tool to refine it. All right, so we're going to add some white to this color. And I think I already added 1 drop, so I'm going to mix it up, and we'll see what the color goes. I know I've done something on it before. I just don't remember where I put it, if it was YouTube or if it was Patreon. So that white actually made a pretty big difference. You can see that color. It's a little colder, a little purpler. It's not... Blue liner goes a little bit more of a greenish because it's using a green shade phthalo blue. Whereas here, we're still using a green shade phthalo, but in the walnut, we have some red oxide. And when that red oxide hits that blue phthalo, they go more purple. So this is a colder highlight than we would get if we were adding white to blue liner. And it's a much less intense, much less saturated highlight than we would get adding white to Nightmare Black, which has a very high load of phthalocyanin blue pigment. Much more than black. So this is grayer than we would get. Yeah, I mean, you can just tear it roughly to what you need, and then I move to the smaller tools to refine it and really make it fit on the base and look like Stone Slayer. Alright, I'm going to add a drop of water and flow improver to that, and then I'm going to see if I can use it effectively to throw a little bit of texture onto this bow and to start highlights on the other stuff. We'll see if we have enough. I want it to be a little stronger than usual because I want to be able to leave texture with it. Hello, Richard. We're okay. I'm having a day, but other than that... Now at this scale, you really wouldn't see wood grain, so I'm not really a fan of doing it, but I will sometimes try to do a little bit of a streaky kind of texture and see. Streaky and uneven. So this is not even close to showing up on camera, but let me mix another highlight real quick and then we can double down on it. 1 second. Gonna take some white, grab a couple brushfuls of the blue that I already mixed, transfer that over into the white, and we'll make a lighter color. And then we'll thin that down and use it to go over what I've already done. So I'm mixing a medium gray blue at this point. Oh boy. But yeah, everything feels hard this week. It's just that kind of week. I'm sure you all have been there. And I have to spend the day video editing my last 2 Patreon things, my paint-alongs. So now I can go over the lines that I've already done with this and see if I like it. So that makes this just a little bit of like kind of texture, and I'll join the lines once I have kind of 3 lines here, so I'm kind of joining them in places, making kind of an interweavy kind of texture. Just enough to bring it up and give it a little visual interest. Yeah, I'm over 500 now. That's in the first 8 months of being an author, so I count that as a win for sure. I'm glad that I said that the next book was going to be out in spring instead of, like, I originally was tempted to say February, but I think the book is moving slow enough that I'm going to need the extra time. Every book's going to be different, I think. Yeah. And once I have another couple books out, hitting 1,000 should be doable. I like tracking my sales. I'm a data nerd, so And I had a pretty good November as far as book sales. The Book Barbarian promo paid for itself and then a little bit extra. So, and that doesn't even count read through. So if I get a fair number of people reading through to the second book, then that'll be even better. Hopefully we'll get some reviews. I think part of the problem right now is that there are things, like random things, that I really want to get done for the books, like putting them up on other platforms, and instead I'm trying to make myself ignore that and just write, and I probably should just stop and take a couple days to put the books up on like Kobo and Draft to Digital, get them up on Barnes & Noble and Google Books and Apple. Richard, yes, that's true. I mean, I'm sure we'll get there eventually, right? It's just like, it'll be interesting to see, because often, given these numbers are really different for everybody, and people love to bandy about the number you should expect, right? But most people say that a series doesn't become really viable in a lot of people's eyes, a lot of readers' eyes, until you have at least 3 books out. 3 to 4 books. And some series don't take off till even after that. Was rereading Tony Hillerman's Navajo Tribal Police series, because I like mysteries. And I actually didn't mean to, but I got they have an author's note. They have author's notes now, some of them. And he mentions that the series didn't really actually take off till book 6. So he was kind of petering along, hoping they were still going to publish his next one until he had a breakout, until book 6 broke out. So, it might take me more than a few books to actually garner a larger audience, but I'm kind of happy about that. I mentioned this before, but it's kind of nice to be nobody knows who you are person. You can make your mistakes and correct your typos, and you don't have a lot of people looking at you. Yes, correct. Yes, correct. He didn't actually start selling a lot of books until book 6, Twisted Oma. It was the book where he finally put Lee Porn and She together on a case. That was his breakout book. Before that, he was a very middling mystery writer. Not a lot of people knew who he was. He talks about it a bit in one of his author's notes. I love author's notes. I love to hear what the writer was thinking, or how they write, or what was problematic. That's why I put author's notes in my books, because I love them. I've loved them since I was a little kid. When I was reading sci-fi or fantasy, and the author would actually put an author's note about the series, I was so happy. Alright, so just putting a little bit, again, of texture down here. I'm probably going to glaze over this. I'll do one more layer of highlight, and then I'm going to glaze with my dark. Because I want it to go down near black, and I want to also blend this in a little bit and make it look like it's part of the bow. The danger of doing highlights like this, or if you're doing freehand textures in general, is that sometimes they look like they're sitting on the surface, because they are, right? So one way to get around that is to do a glaze of your base color or shadow color or whatever you want to do, even the highlight color, depending on how you want your surface to look. But when you're painting over a very dark surface and you want it to stay dark, it makes sense to use your shadow. Yeah, I stopped reading the Hillerman books for a little bit because they are expensive. I read them mostly from the library when I was younger, and then my mom had them, so I read them. I actually could read them in person and not pay for them, but since I want them in my own library, I've been paying, but New York publisher prices on ebooks are ridiculous, so I shut myself down for a bit. I'll pick up the next one when I really feel like it. I could do library again, but I kind of want to own them because that is a series I do like to go back and reread. So when it's like that, when I like to reread, then I'll pay for the actual book. Alright, so just a little bit of accentuation of the texture with my highest highlight. Just kind of going over what I've done. Once I have that, I'm going to probably go up one more level because I know when I glaze to knock this back, it'll cover over a lot of what I've done. And I want it to still stand out, so I'll have to make it a little bit more visible before I make it a little more invisible, which is a little weird, but it's not a bad texture. Yeah, it's really just use thin paint, and it's easier to do this with the light paint in some cases because the white is so opaque, so you can thin the paint down but still get good coverage when you're doing these little textures, Richard. But you don't have to be real fancy with them. I usually just make like 3 lines and then I start joining them up in different ways, and that tends to be wood grain enough for a 28mm. I think we're okay. Excellent. All right, I'm going to mix up one more highlight. Thinking about taking up my knitting project again, since I'm going to be editing video. It's funny, but I like to listen to the track of the audio to kind of catch myself on little bits where I stammer or whatever, and I can knit while I do that, and then I can go and do the visual editing. So sometimes I knit and listen to my video when I'm editing it. Hey, Agent, you made it. Oh, great. Yay, toddler, go. Yay, baby. Do we call the toddler Baby Marvel? Or I guess toddlers are podlings. They're not really babies anymore. They're like, they're not quite humans, but they're humans in progress. The mini marble. There we go. Yes, mini marble. That's good. Let's use that. Okay, so I've got a succession of blue-grays now. That's my triad, such as I've mixed it. So that is the corporeal shadow plus 1 drop of white, and then we're a couple of brushfuls of that with another drop of white, and here I did a couple drops of white with a little bit of that. So we've got a pretty nice triad set up there, and that light color. Oh, hi, Kiki. Hello. Do you want to say hello to the stream? Do you want to say hello to the stream? Hold on. Or is this an official dog visitation? Is it? Where's my Keeks? Kiki. Good. Good girl. Kiki's official visitation. She's starting to feel like when she steps on my leg, it almost hurts. Are you getting chonkier? Are you getting chonkier, my girl? Are you? Are you? You are earless. You're the earless Kiki Wonder. Yeah, you are. You want hugs? Hugs. Hugs for the Keeks. Hugs, hugs, hugs. Good girl. Oh, you're such a good girl. Yeah. Oh, yawnings? Why yawnings, Bubba? Why yawnings, huh? You're a good girl. You're a good girl, yeah. There are squirrels and stuff out there. There are, but we can't go out there yet. It's not time. It's not time. No, it's not time. You're a good girl. All right. I love you. Okay. Can you off? Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. Yep, our Cerberus. It's Kiki time. Kiki time. All right, little Scritcher. All right. Yep. Okay. Yes, I love you too, okay? You gotta let me finish streaming, though. Yeah, I gotta go a little late. We're okay. Her ears they look big. They look small when you look at them next to her head. Like, small-ish. Like, Leo's ears were a lot bigger compared to his head. My last plush Shiloh. But yeah, they're big when you look at him, like, next to my hand. Yeah, his daughter took over the series after he passed, or his wife did, his wife did, that's right. His wife took over the series after he passed. Yeah, it's one of the many mystery series that I just like to listen to, or like to watch, like to reread here and there. Alright, so now we're going to do just a little bit of highlighting, and we're going to concentrate on mostly the top where the light would be falling down on the bow. Just for an extra hit. Just want it to stand a little bit more up there and a little bit more down here. And I think I'm gonna glaze. Not already owning all of it. I am definitely having to buy it slowly. It's a rare day these days. I've started reading so many indie authors that it's a rare day these days when I'll spring for a New York ebook. Because if they're going to charge me $15 for an ebook, I'm like, unless I really want the ebook, I have to really have a talk with myself, because I could get 3 books for the price of that. Alright, I just mixed up some corporeal shadow. I'm throwing some water into it. Gonna make it real thin so that we can glaze over the top of this. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that's why there was a war when Kindle first started getting going. There was a war between traditional publishers and Amazon. The traditional publishers wanted to push for higher prices because they thought they would lose sales to ebooks. And so they just wanted to overprice everything. And Amazon wanted to really low price everything. And the traditional publishers made the mistake of colluding with each other to fix prices, whereupon they were promptly brought to court and lost. But yeah, it was a whole thing in book world. So now they price their ebooks at the price they think they should get, and Amazon allows people to price as low as 99 cents or as high as you want to. Yes, exactly, Sir Gambit. Yeah. And it's even harder for me as an author, knowing how little of that money the average author sees. I think they get 20 or 30%, and Amazon gives me 70% being an indie author. So it's like, it's annoying. It's very annoying. All right, so to give you an idea, actually I've accidentally mixed both of these. So here's my first mix, and I knew it was too thick. This is more of a wash. I would add medium to this to make it more translucent. This is maybe on a light wash level, but it's actually more of a glaze, and you can tell when you're using a ceramic palette, because what you'll see is you'll see the edge dry darker. instead of having an even layer. And that's that coffee staining effect. So that's a sign that you have indeed thinned the paint so much that you have broken it. Whereas if you look here, you can see that it is uniform. But here, I'm seeing a darker edge for sure. Yeah, a lot of drama happened when, yeah, there have been so many odd things that have led to the current, like, rise of the, like, of indie authorship being just as valid as traditional. But yeah, that I found it somewhat amusing. There's a whole chapter on it, I think, in Cory Doctorow's book about choke point capitalism, but it also can be found in certain indie authors writing about it. But yeah, it happened. All right, we are going to use our glaze to glaze. So we're going to put a real thin layer of dark over the top of what we did. And painting in a thin layer like this, I didn't put a lot of paint on my brush. I just painted it on because this is such a thin surface. And here's the difference, right? So I keep my texture, but it looks less disruptive, and it also brings the dark back of the wood that I wanted, a darker wood, whereas here everything looks a little faded. So yeah, you can really, even though glazes tend to be subtle changes, sometimes a subtle change is for reals what you want. So when you want to glaze like this and you don't want to puddle everything, you just take very little paint and you go over the surface. And you don't continue to paint it over the surface. You go over it once, you're done. The only time you go back is if you did leave a puddle that you have to clean up. So that brings it down a bit. But yeah, at least with the Hillerman books, I know that, you know, at this point, they're probably getting more per book because they long ago paid back their advance. So at least the family gets more money. So I don't mind it, but I just, yeah, I have a hard time spending $15 on a book these days unless it's, like, really something I really want. Or, obviously, if it's a physical copy, I will. I do read a lot of, on my Kindle Unlimited. So now let's do these boots. Not a lot of detail sculpted on the top of these, but there usually will be kind of a ridge. What was that, Papa? Papa just made a whiny noise. Usually it'd be a kind of a bridge and then a wrinkle here where the foot bends and then the toe. So if I have like very roughly sculpted feet on a figure, I usually try to do that ridge and then the wrinkle, the crease, and then the toe. And if I can get that usually makes the foot look better. So I should be on streaming my own stream this Saturday, folks, and I meant to work on Anubis last time. I'll probably work on the bust for my brother because there's just very little left to do on it at this point. But I'll also work on Anubis for his base, so that'll be what I'm doing. I also put a little bit of a highlight here around the edge of the foot. I don't like bowstrings in 28mm Slayer Street. It's true, it's why piracy sites are popular. But Thoramel, at the same time, piracy sites also screw the little guy because they regularly just yank books that are, like, from just little people trying to make money. Like, they aren't just pirating all of, like, the Harry Potter books. And then they get people banned off of Amazon when Amazon is like, your book is in KU and it needs to be exclusive. And you're like, but I am exclusive. And they're like, no, you're not. And it's because piracy sites have grabbed your book. So I do not, but yeah, it's partially that. But it's also just that even if your book is like $1.99, there are still people who will not pay that. Regarding bowstrings, I find that they are almost always not in scale, Slayer. I've seen very few 28mm bowstrings that are in scale that look good to me. Most of the time, it is honestly too much of a pain in the butt to bother with. Like, you could use a human hair, you know. Some people, I guess if you could find a really thin thread, you might do it. But here the part of the problem here is that she's obviously drawing back the bow, right? So you have to somehow make that string go here, and it's going to impact her hood because the way her hand is. And then the hand is turned out here. So it's honestly, it's more trouble than it's worth, and because of the placement of the hand, the bowstring isn't placed right anyway. Like it would be bouncing, it would be curving over the top of her chest, and it would be curving over the top of her hood. So it would just not look good. But yeah, I just never bother. I never bother with 28. Some people really enjoy doing them, and more power to you if you do, but I'm not that person. I'm much more likely to do something like that if it's like 54 or bigger, and assuming the hand position is correct. Otherwise, I'm just going to say she just released it, and I'm going to ignore. You could do a straight up and down bowstring, but even then, it's going to impact the arm here. It's going to have to curve around the arm. So a lot of the time, the placement of the miniature just isn't quite right. Thormel, I think, yeah, that's true. That really fine stuff that Pendrake mentions. You could try that, but you're still going to get in the problem where the mini is positioned incorrectly, where the bow is going to bend around the arm. It's not going to be like the way it would be, right? But as far as the STL files, I feel like that's more of a decision based on, at this moment, based on Reaper's... Like, Reaper are known for physical miniatures, and to angle away from that Thormel is a big business decision and not want to be taken lightly. And it might not be a wise decision. Because, I mean, there are places I go for STLs and there are places I go for physical minis. And sometimes I would prefer to have the physical mini painted, done to a higher quality than my printer can handle. Right, exactly, Quantum, yeah. I leave mine out. Yeah. Yeah, hair is, like, kind of traditional, but, yeah, it can look weird. That's why I just don't think it's worth it. But, yeah, it's like, I think that Ed made the right decision when he went, like, with Bones, right? Because it was, sure, Reaper was known for metal, but it's still at least a physical miniature with Bones. And now with the Bones USA Siocast and with the 3D prints, you know, it's still at least producing the physical product. Reaper has all that infrastructure built. So for them, it would be like throwing out that infrastructure to try to pivot to a STL model. And also catering to a clientele that doesn't necessarily expect it from Reaper. You storing the bow with a hair, yeah. Very fiddly to do it. Yep. That's my opinion. Thanks, Derek. Yeah. Yeah, physical products anyway, it's true. All right, more little bit of highlight here, and then I'm going to try to add in the lighter highlight. So the lighter we go with highlights here on the boot, the shinier the surface will appear. So depending on how shiny you want that is how high you want to bring this highlight up. I'm going to try just a little bit. And again, if I feel I've gone too high, I can glaze just like I did up here on the bow. Yeah, just make sure when you're cutting them to use an actual wire cutter. They are spring steel, last I checked. Guitar strings, I mean. There we go. That's okay. Oh, Zachariah. Oh. There, I gave you the response you were looking for. Oh, speaking of books, anybody who enjoyed Legends and Lattes, the original cozy fantasy novel by Travis Baldree, there is it's not a sequel, it's actually a prequel, but there's a new book out. In his author's note, he talks about how, like, he actually tried to write, like, 3 or 4 other books before writing that book. That's because they're steel. Yeah, Richard. I do mention on my pitting video that I just put out, I never really noticed a difference. Like, depending, if it's a really big model, sure, then you want to use the strongest material. But for most models, I never really noticed any sort of difference between using a heavy, a stronger wire or just brass rod. I always found brass rod to be more than adequate. Yes, I think it's Bookshelves and Bone Dust, Kerniko. He is traditionally published now, by the way. He took a deal with Tor. After Legends and Latte is pretty much made, like, created a new genre. But I bought it anyway. Oh, yes. Yes, I that's good. That's good. I'm glad that you were able to find it with a search Trojan. Ah, yeah. Bend the metal bow, right? Yep, yeah. The tricks. Tricks of the trade. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the prequel, Kerniko. In fact, after I read it, I went back and reread Legends and Lattes. Smoothing out these a little bit. Never, Butts, never. Yes, there is an audio. At least I'm pretty sure there's an audio. He is an audio voice actor. The author. The author is actually a voice actor who does audiobooks, so I would certainly hope that there's an audio. I'm certain there's an audiobook for Legends of Lattes. There's gotta be. There's gotta be. Electric drills, Butts, you would have to have a very slow one. Really slow. Because the problem is it puts, even the slightest electric, the smallest electric drill puts so much more torque. If you're trying to use a small drill bit, like the tiny ones that I tend to use for very fine stuff, like pinning hands to wrists and stuff, it's gonna just break the bit. It's just too much. Yes. Yes, low speed setting. Yes, what Richard said. It'll break or melt. It'll just generally not do good things. Yeah, be careful. Be careful. And make sure you've got the right tool for the job. Look for definitely a very low speed drill. I'm just going to elaborate on this a little bit and then there. Thanks, Sir Gambit. I've never heard of it. But I figure somebody would have invented one, right? I don't pin a lot anymore because I find that I don't need to with most of the models I'm working on, but I did pin Anubis. So, like, it really just depends. Come on, guy. Don't fall. So it really just depends on the intricacy of the model, right? This guy definitely, his hand is pinned onto his arm. Because that's just begging to break. I mean, this is a resin model. So, like, and with all of this weight on the top of the staff, it's gonna break. You know it's gonna break. So yeah, so his hand is pinned into that, but nothing else on here. I don't remember if I pinned the ears. The ears had a pretty wide base, and they also had little cups to sit into. So I don't think I actually pinned his ears. It also seemed to me like it was gonna hit this or this before it hit his ears. So I may regret that at some point if he breaks, but yeah, I just use a manual pin device because I don't pin much, exactly. Yeah, the WoW stick thing sounds interesting. He is. I mostly read on Kindle these days. I didn't know, when first came around I was dubious, but I do, it lets me have so many more books because I just don't have room. And I'm going to glaze that just like I glazed the bow. Glazed the feet to bring them back down a bit to blend in. And we'll do the little feathery things. Feathery things. And then I think we've kind of finished this mini. Oh, except for I haven't done the gold on there. Okay, we've got a little bit of gold left to do. Cool. So yes, there are drills out there. I doubt I would feel comfortable using one because I'm not, I don't do a lot of drilling, and it's hard for me to keep it stable. Like, I'm not very practiced with it. But if you are, then go. Well, yeah, Pendrake, but we'll do a base for this one, but it'll be a very simple base for this one. Very simple, but I want to get these little quivery things. Except that I just blorfed that one. No blorfing allowed. Yeah, yeah. It sounds like you need to keep your minis in like a box, like blue tacked to the bottom of a box on your desk. And then, even if the little bugger knocks the box off, the minis will stay on it. I wonder if he'd lose interest if you just blue tacked all your models to your table, so he couldn't bat them off anymore. Then it wouldn't be fun. He'd probably sulk. Interesting, Ancient Marvel, yeah. No, I'm like on my Kindle a lot, so it's easy for me to, I just go to my library and look. I do like definitely pick up books that I don't read right away and then I kind of forget I own them. But that's kind of a bonus for me because then when a vacation comes around, the first thing I do is like go to my Kindle and look for unread. And then I see a whole bunch of books that I picked up that I forgot about, so I don't have to buy any new books for vacation. So little tiny bits of just getting those feathers. And I only used my lightest color for the feathers here, for the fletchings. He gets angry and chews on them. Yeah, that's why I was like, in a box, blue tack to the bottom, closed box on the desk. Just buy him some sacrificial minis. Use your Bones Kickstarter minis that you're not touching. Oh, I did put a little extra paint on here, so I'm going to pull it off with that glaze. Alrighty. There. Yay! So yeah, now all we need is, it really is the top of her hood there. And maybe just highlighting the strings down there. Oh, and I missed a little bit of gold down there. But yeah, just a little bit left. Just a little bit left. And then, as Pendrake says, the base. But yeah, we'll keep this one real simple. Like, really just probably sculpt a little bit of rise for her to stand on, and I may cut her off this base. It's actually not that hard. Give her a little rise and some stones, and scatter some fall leaves and paint them. That's pretty much what I have in mind for this figure. I don't want to do a big production number. Yeah, I read a lot on my phone now. You know, Quindy, when you first told me you read a lot on your phone, I was like, really? And then I started doing it, like, just because I was, like, bored somewhere, and now I do it. Now I don't, my poor Kindle hasn't been charged in ages. I just use the Kindle app on my phone. It's all because of you. Just trying to get this little strap highlighted here. Yeah, I keep all my audiobooks on my phone because I listen to them while I walk in the evenings. And so I bring the phone, I bring my little ear pods. Alrighty, folks. Oh, and I need to remember to highlight this sucker too. So almost done. Almost done. We got a lot done today. It's good. You've been blamed for worse things. Alright, cool. Right, exactly. The book is always with you. Yep. That's exactly it. Alrighty. Oh, man. Yeah, I think we're good. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry I was late. It just has been a rough morning, but the day'll turn out better, I'm sure. I have CrossFit tonight. It'll beat that ennui out of me. Alrighty, so tomorrow we're so close to done on so many figures. We have to do Link's eyes. We got the hair, we got the shield, we got that. Yeah, I think like his eyes are like what we need to do, and then we need to like either start something else or we need to figure out basing for him. I really haven't thought about basing for this model. This could be a bad thing. Do I have anything else? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I have. I might need to finish his eyeballs tomorrow and then put him aside for a bit to think about what else to do as far as his base. We'll touch up his hair, I think, a little. But I mean, we've got Jolie over there, and we've got Karindra, who's up on her fancy base, to also work on. That they fell out of, I put them out of rotation for a bit. So all that considered, I could maybe do some wood grain on the inside of the shield here. But that, yeah, maybe we'll do that. I might highlight his boots an extra step. But other than that, it's all like tuning and bringing him totally up to the level that we want him to be tomorrow. All right. Yes, have a lovely afternoon. Yawn. Ooh. Hopefully I didn't just make all of you yawn. And yeah. Thanks, everybody. Nice to meet you new people. And we will see you later. All right. Quindy, thank you as always. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.